to Similarly Different. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode and the new season of Similarly Different. I'm so excited to be back. There is so much I want to talk to you guys about, and like any other girl chat, friend catch up, or even family gathering, we got to talk about what has happened since I've left you guys. So I figured what better intro episode than just have a little chit chat, get to know you guys. Well, not really get to know you, because if you're listening, I would hope that I already have talked to you on DM, email, maybe in the comment section on YouTube. But if I haven't, welcome to Similarly Different. This is season 3, episode 1 of season 3, or as Courtney likes to say it, probably episode 34, since eventually we're going to let out of season split. I'm holding on to dear life until then. So if you guys are watching visually, you may see that we have a new set, which I'm so proud and grateful for. Let me just tell you guys, there's a lot of sweat, stress, rush, but also very detailed that went into this yellow wall. If you follow me on social, you've seen that I was painting this yellow wall just last night. Obviously not last night from when you guys are going to see this, but last night from when it was actually done. So we decided to go and, bring up the color of the logo into more of a prominent color this season, and what better time than butter yellow having its phenomenon. But anyways, since we finished season 2, there has been so much that has gone into life, self, as well as I think we can all agree that this year is like just a little chaotic and a little different. There's so many positive things happening and also very much heaviness. Obviously in January and February, if you were in Los Angeles, you had the fires, we had the elections. No matter where you stand in the spectrum of political world, you have felt the intensity of change and just awkwardness in conversation in different social groups and things of that sort. And it's just a very interesting place to shift in, seeing the way the economy is evolving, the way it's crashing, if we're 100% honest. And I think as a creative on the influencer, blogger, YouTuber, podcast world, there's also been so many shifts inside of it that I've just been trying to navigate through. I've really been implementing, trying to focus on not living such a stress-led life. And I've talked about that in the past seasons, but I've really been focusing on that. I'm still sticking through my workout journey, and it's so funny. I actually was listening to an episode the other day, and I didn't mock or make fun, but I definitely said things like, I'm definitely not a gym girl. I can't see myself going to the gym and all this stuff. And guys, I'm a gym girl. Like, it's crazy to think about it, because I never thought I would feel confident, 1, lifting weights, 2, being in the gym. And I have been consistently in the gym since October. That's insane. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 6 months being consistent. Now, granted, I don't get to go 3 times a week all the time. It's typically 2, sometimes 3, but I'm still incorporating Legree. For those who ask me about my workout routine, I do 2 to 3 weeks strength training, and then 2 to 3 is pushing it, but usually 2 times a week I do Legree, which is a more intensive form of traditional reformer Pilates. And I just feel that even with chaos happening in my life, whether it be mental, physical, work, friends, family, it has really created such a safe space for me to truly feel and see how strong I am. No matter what I'm going through, as long as I put myself into a Pilates class, or I get myself to wake up, push myself out of the bed and go to the gym and get that hour and a half session in, I feel really accomplished afterwards. I feel like my skin is glowing different. I feel like so many people are like, you just look more alive. And it's not because I've dropped weight, because I honestly don't know if I've dropped weight. I don't weigh myself, and I hate when people say that, to be honest, because I'm like, oh my God. But truthfully, if you start feeling good in your clothes, then it just does something more than whatever number on the scale you could be. And there's nothing like somebody telling me like, hey, I see your arms are sculpted, or I see your back muscles are popping out. I got a spray tan like a month and a half ago, and the spray tan girl was like, where do these back muscles come from? I was like, oh girl, you see that? As she's literally tanning me butt ass naked, which I thought it was so funny, but also like she's clearly seeing every crevice of me. So she must be saying the truth. And then, like I mentioned in the beginning of the year, there was like fires, things of that sort. There was actually a few handful of friends of mine that have been moving outside of the state. So there's also that navigation of like on one end, okay, I have a room and a bed to sleep in another state, but in another end, like, shift, friends, that whole mayhem. And also just like the reality that like we're getting older and like things are shifting and I don't know. Then we go into that in like my solo life. Like, what is Yanina doing in her dating life? Because the last episode that I left you guys on, I was really into like open and dating and, seeing what's out there. I kind of put myself on the freezer because I don't know, guys. It's just low effort, weird energies out here. And for a person that's focused so much on her physical health, which then transcribes into her mental health, and has been trying not to live a stress-led life while dealing with like the stress that you can't control that's around you, adding a sector of men who are low effort or doing the least or doing the most in their personal life but acting like they're not, it's like unneeded confusion that I don't need. And unless it's something magical, I'm cool. And I think that, I don't mind flirting here and there, but to truly get my attention, it has to be someone truly special. And I think I'm okay with that. But there was actually this article that I was listening to yesterday, that it said, there's women saying like, oh my God, there's not enough men. There's not enough men. And actually, statistically, there's actually not enough men for women, especially because a lot of these women are getting high paid jobs, are getting top rankings in their job. They're going to therapy. They're doing emotional work. So we come from a time where for men and women, you were taught the man provides and the woman just like, takes care of the home and all these things. And now what's happening is that the women are domesticated, but also are having these very high paying or high level jobs. And what's leaving is the man to then not connect with the woman when what they want from the man is emotional connection, awareness, emotional intelligence, emotional maturity. And I was like, oh my goodness, because there is men that I have met in high level jobs as well as mid-level or entry level jobs. And everything ends up coming down to the emotional maturity, the emotional availability, the emotional understanding of self, where we clash. And I'm either like, they can't support me in what I'm going through, so I can't even feel open enough to open up myself to them. Or I see the way they handle things in life and I'm like, ooh, that was like me like 12 years ago. And they're like 7 years older. So I think that there's been a lot of shifts happening since the last time that we recorded. But I'm so excited for this season because, hello, again, we have a new set. Guys, we have mic boxes. I think this is so exciting because it's so pretty. Okay, this is going to sound silly. Again, if you're listening to this, you're like, what is she talking about? Please go check out the YouTube. If you don't subscribe, even if you don't have a YouTube page, you can subscribe to my YouTube. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple, on Spotify, and all these things. But if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, there's little things that I think make you feel like, oh, I'm truly doing this shit. And I think for an artist is getting their first set of in-ears. And for me, it was two things. One, having a custom made set where nobody can replicate this. I mean, they can replicate it, but like it won't be the same. But like my set that we really identify. And two, having a little mic box. Like I feel legit. I'm not putting stickers at the end of the mic. I'm not like, janky danky using anybody's. Like this is mine. And it's so pretty. It's so cute. It's literally aesthetically pleasing. It's beautiful. It matches the colors. It's like, I just love it. So I love this because we're in season 3. You guys are growing with me. You guys have truly made this show what it is, from like my team to myself, to the times I've cried, to the DMs I've gotten, to the emails I've gotten, to the YouTube comments I've gotten. There's people that have came from all over the world that have come across the podcast, whether it be on audio or video. And we wouldn't have made it to season 3 if it wasn't for the fact that we're like, oh, this is actually going somewhere. So if you ever think, oh, my little comment is not going to make a difference, let me tell you, your comment is always going to come at the time that I need it the most. So please leave the comments. Please leave a rating. Please, just know that your support means more to me than you can know. If you're watching this right now, share a story. Let me know. I will repost you because it makes me so happy to know that you guys are connecting with me and seeing me. But this season, guys, this season's about to change things because I have a handful of people that I was like shivering, shaking in my boots, like almost at the verge of tears of like, how do I ask? The imposter syndrome was serious, but we overcame it. And I think that's what I love talking to you guys about and what this podcast is all about is that I'm still going to go through things when entering new levels. I'm still going to have uncomfortable moments. I'm still going to deal with having moments of anxiety at times. I'm still going to have moments of, sad seasons, happy seasons, unknown seasons. But as long as you push through and push to the next level of the uncomfortability, growth will happen. And one of the guests that I invited onto the podcast and I asked if they would be on this podcast replied to me and said, I would be honored to be on your podcast. And I was like, what? Me? Little old me? And I think that just goes to remind you, if you're watching this, or even remind myself that don't make yourself small. Like the world at times, your haters, your naysayers, the people that think you're cringe are going to do that for you. So you don't need to do it for yourself. Don't make yourself small. Go take that jump. I've said it before in another episode and even a real clip. Sometimes faith is jumping and not knowing where you're going to land and just knowing and trusting that God is literally going to place you and have you land safely where you're supposed to go. And it might sound silly, but I was literally, like I said, shaking in my boots, asking somebody to be a part of the podcast this season. And them answering that was not only a validation and a little affirmation, but it was something that I needed that week. I was like second guessing myself in other sectors of things. And I was like, wow, they see the value, they see the drive, they see the heart. And at the end of the day, I made this podcast and it's still that purpose for at least one person to be able to listen to it and be able to get guidance, to be able to feel heard, to feel seen. So I'm so excited for everything that we're going to have this season. We have some musicians coming on and talking to you guys. We have some CEOs. We have some very influential names, very intelligent men and women that are masters in their craft, but have also gone through some shit to get to that place. And I'm so excited to be able to talk about it, to share more of, the things that I go through on the solo episodes, because I know you guys love the solo episodes as much as I love doing them. And I hope you missed getting new episodes, but just wait what's in store. There's some little hints on this set of things that we have in the works. So, and before we leave it off, Similarly Curious was something that I wanted to, continue to implement last season, but I did get feedback. And the one thing about this show is that I want to make things that is authentic to the audience, authentic to our relationship, and also a safe place. And I think that sometimes audios can be a little scary. You hear the shivering in your voice, your tone changes, and somebody may even recognize your tone. And the last thing I want to do is make you guys feel uncomfortable. So now we're going to be only doing one option to create that safe space over here at Similarly Different, which is we're removing audio and we're doing written entries. So if you are on my Instagram of my personal, if you are on Similarly Different Instagram, which we now have an Instagram and TikTok, so make sure to look us up and follow us. Or if you just find the link in bio in the description of this video, please leave a similarly curious question and I will answer it. And we have one to do to end off this episode. So we have, Dear Yanina, first of all, thank you for creating a space that feels equal parts of soul talk and sisterhood. So sweet. I've been listening to Similarly Different for a while now, and every episode feels like it gives a language to the things I've been quietly processing. I'm writing in because I feel like I'm in this weird in-between stage of life. I've grown out of who I used to be, the people-pleasing, overachieving version of myself, but I haven't fully stepped into the next chapter. It's like I'm shedding layers, but I haven't rebuilt yet. That's also a really authentic place to be in. It's lonely, a little scary, and honestly kind of disorienting. Do you have any advice for someone who is in the middle of becoming the process? How do you hold space for the version of you that's dissolving while honoring the one that's trying to emerge? Thank you for being a lighthouse for those swimming through the fog. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Similarly yours, Anonymous, which we're allowing because we really want it to be a safe space. So if you guys watched my last episode of last season, I talked to my younger self. Or others can say version 1.0, and I was stepping into version 2.0. And I think that the middle ground of who you're shedding and who you're stepping into, it's such an exhilarating, but also such a scary place to be in because you're stepping into the unknown and it's exciting, but like your negative voice sometimes it's like, am I going to make it? What if I don't? Then what? And, that's when faith really has to step into it. And I think that you have to be so tired of your shit. Think of it as like you've been sitting in a pile of your own shit for so long. It is stinky. It is uncomfortable. If you have kids, you got to wipe the booty or they get a rash. And I think that there is nothing negative that's going to come from this. Not Courtney laughing in the background. There is nothing negative that's going to come from this than growth. If you fall, you get up and now you look at a new horizon. But what if you don't fall? And I think that the more that we get comfortable with being uncomfortable, the more that we actually do it more often. And I think at times, a lot of my friends are like, you're so fearless, you're so perseverant. You a friend on the way here was telling me, she's like, your resilience is something that I truly admire. But it comes from within for me, and it comes from, I don't want this to be my end. And I keep telling myself that this cannot be my ending stop. This cannot be as good as it gets. I refuse to believe that. And I think if you refuse to believe that this is the ending step for you, that this is as good as it's going to get, or if this is your normal, that is what pushes you through. And you might have some days where you fall on the ground and you cry and you crawl into a ball and you say, this is fucking hard. But I think that is the human in us. And you allow yourself that grace. You allow yourself to have that moment. And then you get up again and continue and remind yourself that this can't be as good as it gets, because there is better for you and there will be better for you. And I think seeing your transformation, even 6 months of me going to the gym, it's not about my body, guys. I still feel fit. I don't feel like my body has changed a lot. It's the way I feel inside, the way that I see that I went from being able to carry 30 pounds to 120 pounds, from being able to lift 60 pounds to 265 and making a joke that that's a whole man that I'm hip thrusting. You're able to truly see it when you take a step back and say, wow. And I do want to give one little note because I've done it this year and I shared the idea of it in the podcast in the past, but I shared it to a friend last week and we'll end the podcast with this. So in my notes this year, I wrote the 12 months of the year. And sometimes I forget, but I go back and I write little bullet points. So I want to share with you guys something I wrote in my notes for it. Here goes. I called it 2025 moments. You're not going to be able to really see it from here, but 2025 moments. And I wrote the months. In January, I got asked to speak at a Gap panel about how to include Latinos more and work with us. I got flown out by Univision to San Francisco. I got to talk to my dear friend, Kristen Akunte, about podcast stuff. I went to Puerto Rico for my friend Diana's birthday. And Cetaphil used me on a press document that they had about TikTok creators. That was just for January. And to some, that was silly. But to me, it was a stepping stone in you're headed in the right direction. And reminders, whether it be in October, in December, or in July, that I did some cool stuff in January. And I think it's really important in whatever category it is, whether it's you went down a pant size, whether it's you made a really delicious meal and people even mentioned it to you, whether it's that you got a work accolade, or whether it's that you're moving cross country and you got to, pick your master bedroom color. Remind yourself of the little things because there is beautiful things to look forward to and beautiful things that you're working towards in the transformative state that you're in. So this is all for episode 1 of season 3, or as Courtney says, episode 34. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, leave a rating if you haven't. And until next time, I can't wait for you to see who our first guest is.